All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Whether you celebrate the holiday or not, I just wish everybody a good day and a wholesome day, and a day to where you can just enjoy yourself, enjoy your day off, you know, have some good food or something like that, and just kind of let yourself go for the day, so to speak, right? Okay, now with that being said, after today is over, or should we say after dinner is over today, we are officially going to be in the countdown for Christmas. Now, obviously, there are some places and stores like that that have already started the countdown, so to speak, even before Thanksgiving took place, which is still mind-boggling to me. But anyway, you know, business is business, money is money, I guess. But with that being said, for us XDefiant folks, yes, a lot of us are excited for the upcoming holiday. However, for us, the countdown has officially begun, if not already, for some people, until season 3. And that's what this video is going to be about, because I want to ask you guys, okay? I want to ask you guys specifically, if there is one thing, I want you to pretend to be young again, for those you know, for those of you guys that want to play along with this. I want you to pretend that you're young again, and you are going to wait for that one present that you've always wanted to arrive on Christmas, right? Because we're going to translate that concept into XDefiant, but we're only limited to one thing. But in order for us to basically do that, we can't talk about something that is already confirmed to be coming. So right here, I'm actually looking at the updated year 1 roadmap for XDefiant real quick. So I'm going to review what's going to be officially coming for season 3 and the upcoming season 4 as well, in terms of everything that we've been told so far officially by the XDefiant devs and Ubisoft themselves. So for season 3, we have a new faction coming up, 3 new weapons, 3 new maps, a new mode and game map type, bots mode, private matches out of beta, and limited time modes, daily rewards, prestige, faction mastery, badges, new ranked rewards, a new battle pass, replay, which is death replay cam, also known as kill cams, improved first-time user experience, ranked rejoin, and ranked sanctions. And then obviously for season 4, we're going to have a new faction, 3 new maps, 3 new weapons, a new device, major event takeover, limited time modes, weapons mastery 2.0, weapon skin challenges, new ranked rewards, new battle pass, and then more info coming soon as far as player progression is concerned. And then for quality of life improvements, we've got ranked vote to surrender, and then basically more info coming soon on further things as far as season 4. So there's still a few things about season 4 that are coming that we simply don't know yet, because they have not revealed it to us. But right now, the main area of focus is obviously season 3, but at the back of your minds, I still want you to have season 4, okay? So now, with that out of the way, in terms of things that are coming completely, okay, oh, by the way, I wanted to add also that Mark Rubin has stated that by the time year 3 begins, we should be feeling a significant difference in the netcode, in terms of like probably the biggest difference ever. And fingers crossed that that gets released at the beginning of season 3, and then we can kind of go from there to where we feel a significant difference, and therefore the game is more responsive, and therefore the game is more fun, and yada yada yada, right? Okay, now I want you to think about the one thing beyond everything that was just mentioned here that that you want for XDefiant, right? Now, granted, I know that your quote unquote Christmas list is a little bit bigger than that. Then I'm sure you guys have multiple things that you want. But despite all that, though, if there was one thing that you can ask Santa Claus himself, we're going to pretend Santa Claus is Mark Rubin at this point, right? That can actually make things happen within the game, right? What would you specifically request for Mark Rubin to basically bring to the table as far as XDefiant is concerned? Now, ever since I started covering XDefiant, thanks to you guys in the comment section and everything else, one thing that you guys have made many things apparent in terms of what you guys would want, and on top of that, you guys have also like gone above and beyond, and you want things added to XDefiant that are basically a little bit they're a little bit out of the multiplayer 6v6 state. Now, the basic thing that I want to start with and go over that you guys have been very adamant about, things that you want, at least things that I've heard, you know, multiple times or read multiple times from you guys, is specific game modes. In particular, the 2 that I specifically hear about, or should I say 3 that I hear about the most, is free for all, and I'm not just saying that because that's what I want the most in terms of game modes. I've actually heard that more. I've read that definitely more than once. A no abilities mode, right, to where it's just gun on gun. And another one is ground war mode, to where you can have more players on the map, right? Even if it's just 9, like a 9v9, the way it was during Ground War classic Call of Duty. And for the most part, that would actually make sense on maps that are this big. Obviously, maps like Arena and Rockefeller and maybe even Clubhouse, those maps, I think they're a little too small for that. But at the same time, I think a lot of people are very much into that, because even if you go back to Call of Duty Vanguard, one of the things that the Vanguard did that a lot of people in the community actually liked was the fact that you could choose how many players you would want on the map. I don't remember what the damn feature was called, because again, Vanguard was the last Call of Duty I played, and I only played that for a couple weeks and then called it quits and never went back to modern COD ever again. And so basically, I totally forget what that was called, but it was a feature to where you could choose like how like how many players you can have on the map per game mode and stuff like that, which combat pacing, I think, is what it was called or something like that. So with that being said, those are what people would like to see in terms of game modes. Now, next up, I want to discuss weapons. Now, for me personally, a few weapons that I would love to see, number one is the SCAR. I've always been a fan of the SCAR in any multiplayer shooter that I've ever played. The only reason I didn't even use the Rampart all that much in Black Ops 4 was because you couldn't add a stock attachment. You couldn't make the gun strafe all that much. But other than that, its stopping power was terrific. The iron sights were terrific, et cetera, et cetera. But like any other SCAR, like when you're talking about Black Ops 2, you're talking about the SCAR L from from Modern Warfare 3, et cetera, et cetera. Like the iron sights and everything like that. Like that's and it's a good weapon for good stopping power as well. It's a very powerful weapon. And it's got great iron sights. It doesn't fire as fast, but that's how you balance the weapon out. So for me, the SCAR has always been one to stand out. And I am not entirely sure if the AN-94 is a traditional weapon or not, or if it was just made up for Black Ops 2. And obviously, I've seen it in other shooters, so it's got to be real. But another one that I would personally love is the AN-94. G36C is another one that I would love to see. And there's one submachine gun in particular that I would really like to see in this game. And I don't remember on the top of my head which one it is. But again, I'm trying to think about submachine guns that are actually, real. Obviously, XDefiant can make up weapons if they wanted to, but for the most part, I mean, from everything that we've seen so far, they're based off of real weapon models. And obviously we've seen some of these weapons in other games as well. Now we've covered game modes. We've covered a few weapons. Now in this, now I want to continue on to things beyond just the multiplayer, right? So because a lot of you guys have basically requested such a thing, right? Some of you guys are very much into horde mode. Some of you guys are very much in some sort of PvE mode or whatnot. Now, obviously that is still a ways away from even happening. I remember in the Mark Rubin interview with one of his devs that he had, the one that pretty much almost nobody covered that I made a video on. I remember saying that if he had a lot of respect for Helldivers and what Helldivers did, and if he were able to do some sort of mode to where you would have like Rabbids with kind of like something similar to objectives, like with Helldiver, like the way Helldivers did with their stuff or something like that. So it would be kind of like not like a PvE mode, but like still multiplayer based, but like something completely different where there's Rabbids involved or something like that. I remember some people talking about like, how that would be kind of cool if Rabbids made their way into XDefiant in some way, shape or form. And in my mind, I just thought of like a big Rabbid, like one that's like the size of a regular player in this game, but you're able to, just like every other player, you're able to wield a gun, a weapon, and just kind of, run around like a rabbit and just do. I just can't help but think. But what would the ultimate for a rabbit be anyway? Passive ability and all that kind of stuff. Like, what would the abilities be when it comes to rabbids? That's the interesting question. I know you guys would absolutely know a hell of a lot about that more than I do. But yeah. Also, another thing that I want to cover is factions. Like, what kind of faction would you guys like to see, as well as what kind of abilities? Now, obviously, in season 3, it is rumored that and if you look at the silhouette, it makes sense for it to to kind of be what we're predicting, even if, you know, we didn't know about the rumors, it looks like we're going to have an Assassin's Creed faction, right? So now, since we're going to have that, what would you like the passive ability to be? I personally think it might be Silent Footsteps. I'm not entirely sure on that. And then the ability itself could be like a speed boost, a temporary speed boost, and even faster mantling or something like that. And then the ultimate, like, for me, I would think like the ultimate would be something like the Juggernaut Maniac from Call of Duty Ghosts, which just so happens to be the Call of Duty that Mark Rubin himself also directed, even though he's been behind the scenes of many CODs. He actually was the main director in Call of Duty Ghosts. And the Juggernaut Maniac was basically like, you know, a really fast Juggernaut that moved at insane speeds and could take an insane amount of damage, and you would be running around meleeing people. I wouldn't be surprised if Assassin's Creed did something like that. It's gonna be very interesting to see what they do with the Assassin's Creed faction. I'm actually really curious as to how they're going to handle that and how that's going to play out. Now, again, which faction would you like to see that hasn't, you know, Ubisoft has so many IPs that they could fully take advantage of. So what particular faction would you guys like to see? What particular weapons would you like to see? What, you know, all that stuff. Like, you can obviously say, you know, your number one request would be this, but if you go beyond that and it's like, okay, this is what I would like to see in the near future of the game, right? Now, obviously, without saying anything, I'm pretty sure everybody's immediate request is for the netcode to be fixed. But again, as I mentioned, Mark Rubin has already mentioned previously that that's already coming, and obviously even when the netcode gets to a place to where it actually is, you know, significantly better than what we've been getting now, you know, even when it comes to that, they're still going to be looking at improvements to make it even better. So in theory's sake, you know, if they actually continue to work on it, even if it gets to a point to where it's like really solid, like to continue to work on it and to improve it even more could be great. But one of the questions I do have, though, I mean, if there was anything, though, like for me personally, I would love to like my request, like if I could request one thing at this point, would be like to be able to have a few questions of my own, or should I say our questions, answered by the man himself, as in Mark Rubin, right? So like one of the questions that I would ask, right, is and this is a big one, what kind of tick rate servers is XDefiant operating on, right? That's one of the things that I would ask. Also, like I would also ask in terms of more details of where the game is at right now, in terms of a development standpoint, in terms of where they are, how deep are they into in year 2, because we know that year 1 content has already finished, right? We already know that, but I want to know exactly where they are in development in terms of season 2. I would ask how many developers are working on XDefiant and how many developers have been added since the time that he's informed us that they were working on getting more developers on board. How much support are they actually getting from Ubisoft? Like, is Ubisoft willing to truly invest in everything that the devs are requiring, or is there some sort of caveat? Is there some sort of limit? What's the player count? Are there plans for the game to release on Steam anytime soon? Which hopefully that is a yes, fingers crossed, especially since they've already made it apparent that there's going to be other games that will be releasing, if not have released on Steam already, and more to come. And it would just make more sense for XDefiant for that to happen as well. It's only going to help the game. It's not going to hurt the game. So yeah, these are some of the questions that I particularly would ask. Like my biggest thing would be to be able to, like, if I could make a video to where Mark Rubin is right there and I'm asking him questions and he's responding to those questions, like that would be the ultimate request that I would have right there, because the community themselves, other than wanting what they want, they also have a lot of questions. And me, as a community member, even though I also make content on the game, I am on the same boat as you guys. I have questions as well. And I want to be able to ask those hard questions, because you don't see anybody asking, like if Mark Rubin were to interview, like to be interviewed by anybody, like I don't know if you would see any of them ask those hard questions of like, hey, how many players are actually playing the game? Please reveal to us what the player count is. or the hard questions about, maybe a little bit of a tidbit in terms of how much support they're actually getting from Ubisoft, or, how many developers you currently have working on your team, and all that kind of stuff. Like those hard questions, respectfully speaking, I would love to ask, and I'd ask him respectfully as well. Because I know that even he has a boss. I know that there are certain things that he can't answer. So I would rather be the kind of guy to ask him those questions, and then he would obviously say, I'm sorry, I can't answer that, or I'm not allowed to answer that, because, again, even he has a boss. But I'd rather be the kind of person to ask those questions, because those are the most important questions, and those things are important when it comes to the community as well as the longevity of this game. So with that being said, guys, let's break this down. What's the one thing that you want for XDefiant to bring to the table, sooner rather than later, as well as something that you would want to see XDefiant develop in the future after the foundation has been completely set and is able to move forward on its own easier. And of course, if you could ask Mark Rubin any question, right? Any question at all, right? What would that be in terms of your curiosity, in terms of the state of XDefiant? Whether it's now or whether it's in the future, what would you ask him? So with that being said, guys, I'm going to end it here. I can't wait to read what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. And then sometime after today, the countdown to Season 3 will officially begin, as well as the countdown to the holiday. And it is said that Season 3 is going to release about a week before the Christmas holiday. So I can't wait to see, and of course to play the game and to get my hands on Prestige. And I hope, fingers crossed, that Prestige will be released at the very get-go from Season 3. I know that the developers know how important that is, and I hope that ends up being the case. And that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. And as always, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.